Don't ever check into a hotel called Ashcroft Manor, because according to every story that survived, people check in, but nobody ever checks out. Sounds like another internet ghost story, right? That's exactly what Daniel thought. He was 28, a freelance photographer, the kind of guy who spent most of his life driving from one forgotten town to another, chasing abandoned buildings, strange landscapes, and local legends. The weirder the story, the more interested he became. One rainy October evening, he was driving through the mountains after photographing an abandoned mining town. His GPS suddenly froze. The signal disappeared. Then, without warning, his engine coughed once, twice, and died. The road was completely empty. No passing cars, no houses, no cell service. Just endless rain and darkness. He waited nearly an hour. Finally, he decided to walk. About 15 minutes later, he saw something glowing through the trees. At first, it looked like a mansion. But as he got closer, he realized it was an old hotel, 3 stories tall, Victorian architecture, warm lights glowing from every window, and a massive sign standing at the entrance. Ashcroft Manor, vacancy. Daniel smiled. Perfect timing. He stepped inside, expecting dust, broken furniture, maybe a lonely caretaker. Instead, everything looked brand new. The marble floors reflected the chandelier above. A fire crackled in the fireplace. Soft piano music drifted through the lobby. The air smelled like fresh coffee and polished wood. It felt alive. An elderly receptionist looked up, smiled, and said, "We've been expecting you." Daniel laughed. "I don't think we've met." "We haven't." She gently slid an old brass key across the counter. "Room 217. No ID, no payment. We'll handle checkout later." Those 4 words stayed in his mind. "We'll handle checkout later." Too tired to question it, he grabbed the key and headed upstairs. The hallway stretched farther than it should have. Farther than the hotel could possibly be. Rows of identical wooden doors disappeared into the distance. Every few steps, he heard whispers, not clear words, just quiet voices, behind closed doors. He finally reached room 217. Inside, everything was perfect. A neatly made bed, vintage furniture, fresh towels, and a handwritten note resting on the nightstand. "Sleep well." No signature, just those 2 words. Daniel shrugged, set down his camera, and decided to explore. The hotel seemed impossibly large. Endless hallways, grand staircases, elegant lounges, a ballroom, a library, even an indoor garden. But despite all those rooms, he barely saw anyone. Only a handful of guests, one dressed like he had stepped out of the 1940s. Another looked straight from the 1970s. A young woman quietly read a newspaper dated 1986. No one smiled, no one talked, until an old man quietly whispered, "You should leave before breakfast." Daniel stopped. "What?" The man's expression changed. "You still have time." Then, he walked into a hallway and disappeared. Not around a corner, not through a door. He simply vanished. Daniel searched. Nothing. By 3 o'clock that morning, 3 slow knocks echoed through his room. Knock, knock, knock. He looked toward the door. Silence. Then, 3 more knocks. This time, from the window. His room was on the 2nd floor. Slowly, he pulled back the curtain. Nothing, only rain. Then, knock, knock, knock. From inside the closet, he grabbed the nearest lamp, opened the closet door. Empty, completely empty. The knocking stopped. Morning finally arrived. Daniel marched downstairs. "I'm checking out." The receptionist smiled. "I'm afraid that's not possible." "No, seriously. So am I." She closed the guest book. "There has never been a checkout." She pointed toward an old photograph hanging on the wall. Daniel froze. He was standing in the picture, holding his camera, smiling. The date beneath it read, 1964, nearly 60 years before he was born. This isn't funny. It isn't meant to be. Daniel rushed outside. The doors opened, but beyond them, there was no road, no forest, no mountains, only endless white fog. He walked and walked. Nearly 10 minutes later, he found himself standing in front of the hotel's entrance again. Every exit led back inside. Later that afternoon, he met a woman in the library. She asked softly, "What year did you arrive?" 2025. She smiled sadly. "I arrived in 1993. She showed him faded photographs of her two young sons. "They're older than I am now." She explained the terrible truth. Nobody aged inside the hotel. Nobody grew hungry. Nobody got sick. Time simply stopped. That night, Daniel discovered the guest book. Thousands of names, some more than a century old. On the final page, his name had already been written, in his own handwriting, even though he had never touched the book. The pen beside it slowly rolled toward him, on its own. Then, the lights flickered. The piano began playing by itself. Doors opened, all over the hotel. Guests stepped silently into the hallways. Hundreds of them, all staring, none blinking. The receptionist's voice echoed through the building. "Please complete your check-in." Daniel ran, through endless corridors, past mirrors where his reflection moved seconds too late, past rooms that hadn't existed before. He finally reached room 217. The note on the nightstand had changed. "You're almost home." The knocking returned. Knock, knock, knock. Morning came, or what looked like morning. The sun never moved. The sky remained frozen. Desperate, Daniel climbed onto the roof. Hidden behind years of dust, he found an old maintenance ladder. At the very top, a small wooden door. Only one word had been carved into it. Exit. He pushed it open. Bright sunlight flooded his eyes. Birds sang. Cars passed nearby. He stumbled onto a quiet mountain road. The hotel was gone. Months later, his camera was repaired. Only one photo survived. The hotel lobby, the receptionist, the guest book. He zoomed in. His signature covered the final line. Below it, 6 chilling words had appeared. "Thank you for checking out." Daniel swore. He never signed that book, but every single year, on the exact same date, a brass room key arrives in his mailbox. Number, no envelope, no return address. He throws it away every year, and every year, it comes back. So if you're ever driving alone, your GPS dies, your engine suddenly stops, and through the trees, you see an old hotel with a glowing vacancy sign. Don't stop, because checking in is easy. Leaving is the part almost nobody survives.